2 million years ago, humans were not the rulers of the world. They were not even safe. They lived in an environment where one wrong step could mean death. There were no houses, no medicine, no clothing, and no tools like we have today. There was only open land, wild animals, hunger, and constant danger. If you traveled back to that time, you would not see modern humans. Instead, you would see early human species moving carefully across the African landscape, always watching, always listening, and always searching for food. Their lives were shaped by survival, not comfort. Scientists believe that the humans living 2 million years ago were at the beginning of an evolutionary transformation. They were not fully like us, but they were no longer like apes either. Their bodies were adapting, their brains were growing, and their behavior was slowly changing in a way that would eventually lead to modern civilization. The question is simple, but the answer is shocking. What exactly were humans like 2 million years ago? How did they live? What did they eat? And how did they survive in such a dangerous world? Assalamu alaikum, friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to explore one of the most fascinating questions in human history. What were humans like 2 million years ago? When people hear the word human, they imagine Homo sapiens, modern humans like us. But the reality is that modern humans did not exist 2 million years ago. The Earth was home to different early human species, and their lives were very different from ours. In this video, we will explore the real scientific evidence about early humans, including their appearance, intelligence, food habits, lifestyle, and survival strategies. We will also discuss what scientists have discovered through fossils, ancient tools, and archaeological research. So stay with me until the end, because the final conclusion about human evolution is extremely important and will change the way you understand the human story. The world 2 million years ago, the Earth's climate was different from today. The planet was entering a period known as the Pleistocene epoch. This was a time when the world experienced repeated cycles of colder and warmer climates. Large ice sheets existed in some parts of the world, but Africa remained one of the most important regions for human evolution. The African environment at that time was a mixture of open grasslands, forests, rivers, and dry areas. These changing environments forced animals and early humans to adapt. Some species became extinct, while others survived by changing their behavior. For early humans, this environment was not stable. Water sources could dry up. Food availability could change suddenly. This meant humans had to move frequently and adjust their lifestyle according to nature. Which humans existed 2 million years ago? 2 million years ago, Homo sapiens did not exist. Instead, scientists believe the main early human species during that time were Homo habilis and early Homo erectus. Some other hominin species may have existed as well, but these two are the most commonly discussed. Homo habilis is often considered one of the earliest members of the Homo genus. They lived around 2.4 million to 1.4 million years ago. Their brain size was larger than earlier hominins, but still smaller than modern humans. Homo erectus began appearing around 1.9 million years ago. This species is considered extremely important because they had a larger brain, a taller body, and better walking and running abilities compared to earlier species. This means that 2 million years ago was a transition period in human evolution. The human body was slowly becoming more efficient for life on land, and the human brain was slowly growing in complexity. What did they look like? Humans 2 million years ago looked different from us, but they were not completely unrecognizable. Their bodies were more muscular and built for physical survival. Their height varied, but many were shorter than modern humans. Their arms were slightly longer, and their faces were more forward, with heavier jawbones. Their skulls were thicker, and their foreheads were lower. They had larger teeth than modern humans, because they needed to chew tough food like raw plants and meat. Their noses were flatter, and their facial features were more primitive. One major difference was brain size. Modern humans have an average brain size of around 1,300 to 1,400 cubic centimeters. Homo habilis had around 500 to 700 cubic centimeters. Homo erectus had around 800 to 1,100 cubic centimeters. This shows that brain growth was already happening, but it was still far from modern levels. How did they move? One of the biggest advantages early humans had was their ability to walk upright. By 2 million years ago, humans were already fully bipedal. This means they walked on two legs, not fur. Walking upright gave humans several advantages. It allowed them to travel long distances with less energy compared to many animals. It also freed their hands, making it possible to carry food, carry tools, and carry babies. Scientists believe that early humans could also run for long distances. They were not fast sprinters like cheetahs, but they had endurance. This ability would later become important in hunting and migration. Did they use tools? Yes. One of the most important things about humans 2 million years ago is that they used stone tools. Fossil evidence and archaeological sites show that early humans were making simple stone tools called old-down tools. These tools were made by striking one rock against another to create sharp edges. They were not complex, but they were extremely useful. Humans used these tools to cut meat, scrape animal skin, break bones, and process plants. This was a major step in human evolution because tool use shows planning, intelligence, and learning. It also shows that humans were beginning to change their environment instead of only adapting to it. However, these tools were not weapons in the way we imagine today. Early humans likely did not hunt large animals with stone tools at first. Instead, they mostly used them for cutting and processing food. What did humans eat? 2 million years ago, humans did not farm, they did not grow crops, and they did not domesticate animals. Their food came entirely from nature. Early humans ate a combination of plants and meat. Their diet likely included fruits, berries, roots, nuts, leaves, seeds, insects, eggs, and small animals. They also ate meat from larger animals when they could get it. Many scientists believe early humans were not full hunters at this stage. Instead, they were scavengers. They often found dead animals killed by predators and used stone tools to cut off the remaining meat. One of the most important food sources was bone marrow. Early humans used stones to break open bones and eat the marrow inside. Bone marrow is rich in fat and calories, which is extremely valuable for survival. This high-energy diet may have contributed to brain development because the human brain requires a lot of energy. In simple words, eating meat and fat may have helped humans become smarter over time. Were they hunters or prey? The truth is that early humans were both. They were not powerful hunters like modern humans, but they were not completely helpless either. 2 million years ago, humans were often prey for large predators. Lions, leopards, hyenas, crocodiles, and saber-toothed cats existed in Africa. These animals were stronger and faster than humans. Humans survived because they lived in groups. A single human alone was extremely vulnerable. But in groups, humans could warn each other, defend each other, and scare predators by making noise or throwing stones. Humans were not at the top of the food chain. They were somewhere in the middle, struggling to survive between larger predators and harsh environments. Did they live in groups? Yes. Fossil evidence and studies of modern primates suggest that early humans lived in small groups. These groups were likely similar to modern hunter-gatherer communities. Living in groups gave humans protection and cooperation. Group members could share food, protect children, and help injured individuals. Social living was one of the strongest survival strategies humans had. Scientists believe early humans may have had basic social roles, such as adults gathering food, stronger individuals protecting the group, and mothers caring for children. This group behavior was an early foundation of human society. How smart were they? Humans 2 million years ago were intelligent compared to other animals, but their intelligence was limited compared to modern humans. They likely had the ability to learn through observation and experience. They could recognize danger, remember locations of water sources, and understand basic cause and effect. They could also create tools, which requires planning and motor skills. However, they probably did not have complex thinking like modern humans. They could not write, build, or create advanced technology. Their intelligence was practical and focused on survival. The brain growth happening during this time shows that evolution was pushing humans toward higher intelligence. Did they speak? This is one of the most difficult questions. Scientists believe early humans probably did not have full language like modern humans. Their vocal system was not as developed, and their brain regions responsible for speech were still evolving. However, they likely had basic communication. They could use sounds, gestures, facial expressions, and simple calls to communicate danger or alert the group. Communication was important because in a dangerous environment, warning signals could save lives. Some researchers believe early forms of language may have started developing later with Homo erectus, but it was not like modern speech. Did they use fire? 2 million years ago, there is no strong evidence that humans controlled fire regularly. The earliest widely accepted evidence of controlled fire is around 1 million years ago or later. But it is possible that early humans occasionally used natural fire. Lightning could cause fires, and humans may have used the leftover warmth or cooked animals found after a fire. Fire was one of the greatest turning points in human evolution. Once humans learned to control fire, they gained warmth, protection, cooked food, and the ability to live in colder regions. But at 2 million years ago, fire use was probably rare or not yet fully developed. Where did they sleep? Early humans did not build houses. They likely slept in natural shelters like caves under trees or in temporary structures made from branches and leaves. Sleeping was one of the most dangerous times because predators hunted at night. This is why early humans may have chosen sleeping locations carefully, such as high ground or near trees. Some researchers suggest early humans may have slept in trees like some primates, but by this time many were already living mostly on the ground. How long did they live? Life expectancy was very low. Many children likely died before reaching adulthood because of disease, predators, starvation, or injuries. Those who survived childhood may have lived into their 30s or 40s, but living beyond that would have been rare. There was no medical treatment. Even a small infection could become deadly. This means survival required constant physical strength and good health. How did climate affect them? Climate changes played a major role in human evolution. When forests decreased and grasslands expanded, humans had to adapt. They could not rely only on trees and fruits. They started walking longer distances and exploring new food sources. This forced adaptation may have been one reason humans developed better tools and better survival strategies. Climate pressure is one of the reasons evolution moved humans toward intelligence and flexibility. Did they travel to other lands? Yes, this was the time when Homo erectus began spreading out of Africa. Homo erectus is considered the first human species to migrate widely. They eventually reached parts of Asia and Europe. This was possible because their bodies were stronger, their brains were larger, and they could survive in different climates. This migration is important because it shows humans were no longer limited to one environment. They were becoming adaptable. What was daily life like? A typical day for humans 2 million years ago was focused on survival. They woke up with the sun. They searched for food and water. They moved carefully, watching for predators. They spent hours walking, gathering plants, searching for animal remains, and protecting children. They did not have free time like modern humans. They had no entertainment, no music, and no writing. Their world was silent, except for the sounds of nature, but their social connections were strong. They depended on each other, and cooperation was necessary for survival. The most important reality, the most important truth about humans 2 million years ago is this: they were not living in comfort. They were living in constant uncertainty. They did not know what tomorrow would bring. They did not know if they would find food. They did not know if a predator would attack. Every day was a test. Yet despite this, they survived. They improved their tool-making skills. Their brains slowly grew larger. Their social behavior became stronger, and their ability to learn became their greatest weapon. Why is this important? When we studied humans 2 million years ago, we understand that the human story is not about luxury or technology. It is about adaptation. Humans survived not because they were the strongest animal, but because they were the most flexible. They could learn new behaviors. They could use tools. They could cooperate in groups. This flexibility is what eventually made humans the dominant species on Earth. So, what were humans like 2 million years ago? They were not modern people. They were early human species living in Africa, struggling against nature. They used simple stone tools, lived in small groups, ate a mix of plants and meat, and survived by cooperation rather than strength. They were not powerful hunters, but they were intelligent enough to adapt. They were not safe, but they were smart enough to survive. And the most important thing is this: every human alive today is the result of those early humans who managed to survive against impossible odds. 2 million years ago, the human story was fragile. One major disaster could have ended it completely, but it didn't end. It continued. It evolved. And that long struggle is the reason we exist today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And comment below. If you were sent back 2 million years into that world, do you think you would survive? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.